I forgot to go over this yesterday. This is about a writer who was here for the initial Gamergate, and I'm going to use their original article because that way you could get the proper name. This is from Keza McDonald. Okay. Now, Keza McDonald is one of those, how do I want to put it? Just creatures. Let's just put it what it is, all right? If you don't know who Keza McDonald is, this is the person who was in my thumbnail yesterday that we didn't get to talk about. They ended up, he ended up, she ended up, whatever. They ended up writing the disturbing online misogyny of Gamergate has returned if it ever went away. Now, just to give you a clear idea of who we're dealing with here, I mean, it's pretty telling. You know what I'm saying? It's one of those kind of like androgynous in between creatures, but I think it's a female. Pretty sure it's a female because only females usually get emotional like this, but that's neither here nor there. The chat's going crazy. Let's bring the article back up, ladies and gentlemen. So, again, disturbing online misogyny of Gamergate has returned. Now, one of the things I talked about in my video is quite simply, this is not about Gamergate returning or anything like that. It's not about racist or misogynist returning. It's about the simple fact that now, and I keep saying this, now Twitter, being as open as it is, granted, not fully open, but it is way more open than it was before. Twitter being as open as it is now allows for the public discourse to flow primarily, mostly freely. So what ends up happening is that with Twitter flowing as free as it is, these kind of people who are used to the banning and suppression of opposite points of view, they now have to read those points of view. They now have to see those points of view. They now have to actually engage with those points of view or block them. But I mean, it's very difficult to do that because there's a lot of them, right? There's a lot of us. They lived in a world for 5 to 10 years. They lived in a world where they thought everybody essentially was a leftist and that there was like a 1 to 2% small fringe group of non-leftists that they were trying to cancel every single day. But they thought the predominant world was a leftist. So did everybody just suddenly become racist over the last 5 to 10 years? No. Did suddenly everybody decide to say, you know what, this woke shit is stupid? No. What it is that it always was that way. A lot of people were against this shit, have been talking against this shit, have always been against this shit. It's just now you're finally able to see it. You're finally able to engage in it. You're finally able to have a conversation about it without getting banned before you even start. And that's the biggest difference here. So when you got people like this who try to say, oh, gamers are just being racist again out of nowhere, like that's not how that works. But anyway, let's read some of what this creature had to say. While some of their language has changed, it hasn't, by the way. The sentiment of this latest aggressive movement is just as distressing. It's time for the games industry to stand up. It's not a latest aggressive movement. It's just people that were always there to begin with. We were always there fighting against it. We were always there talking against it. The moment we started noticing it, people started talking against it. I know I was talking about it before I even had a YouTube channel. And I know of people that were talking about it early on their YouTube channel for fucking like years. But okay, let's continue. After a few months ago, I wrote about a consultancy agency, Sweet Baby, that found itself at the center of a conspiracy theory. It's not. It's not. Just FYI, like, it's not a conspiracy theory. It's been proven to not be a conspiracy theory. You know, it's amazing that the people who openly omit information and choose not to actually involve that information when they report on stuff like this, this is the same person who chose to omit the information that Alyssa Mercante chose to omit, which was how Gamergate 2.0 started in the first place. Gamergate 2.0 started with Chris Kindred deciding that it was in his best interest to try to get Cabrutus banned off of Steam and his page closed down, all because he was informing the public of games that they worked on, which last I checked was not illegal. But you know, they don't like a light shined on them. It says aggrieved gamers on a Steam forum had erroneously concluded that this small agency was somehow mandating the inclusion of more diverse characters in games. Depressingly, but unsurprisingly, the result was a tremendous amount of targeted harassment towards the people who work at Sweet Baby and every journalist who reported on it, particularly the women. Oh, there it is. There it is. Particularly the women. These poor women. So let's kind of break this down a little bit, right? So aggrieved gamers on a Steam forum concluded that this small agency was somehow mandating the inclusion of more diverse characters in the games. Do you realize that on their website, there is a mission statement that literally says this? It might be different wording, but it's literally what they say. They are a DEI company. They tell stories through the eyes of inclusivity and diversity. More so on the inclusivity. They seem to focus on that word more because I think they think diversity is a dirty word now. So they focus on inclusivity. But that's literally what they do. And then what they try to do is they try to play it down and say, well, Sweet Baby Inc. doesn't do anything. Well, if they don't do anything, why are they asking $77 million to go do something? Can I charge someone $7 million for doing nothing? Can I charge someone any money for doing? I don't understand. Like, is it a thing? I would love that job. I would love that job. Then they say, depressingly but unsurprisingly, the result was a tremendous amount of targeted harassment towards the people who work at Sweet Baby and every journalist who reported on it, particularly the women. Okay. So let's break this down, because this is the easiest one to break down now. All right. The result of a tremendous amount of targeted harassment. Number one, it's not targeted harassment to criticize someone. It's not targeted harassment to talk about what someone has said publicly. It's not targeted harassment to do videos on people's articles and talk about what they've said. It's not targeted harassment. And then here's the best part. So you say that everybody who works at Sweet Baby and every journalist who reported on it, but you are leaving out the information as to why. Come on, man. Listen, I know that there's people out there that don't like me. I know there's people out there that can't stand me. I totally get that. And I know that they're going to shill for stuff like this. I totally get that too. But there is no fucking way that you can sit there genuinely instead of disingenuously. There's no way you could sit there and say, oh yeah, Sweet Baby Inc. did nothing wrong. They're just getting targeted harassment for no reason. All because gamers are angry. If you sit there and say that shit, you're a fucking liar. Straight up. You're a fucking liar. I will let you shill. I will let you hate me. That's perfectly fine. But don't sit there and say, oh, gamers just made it up. Gamers just wanted to find someone to get angry at, and they all decided to pick Sweet Baby Inc. for no fucking reason. Come on, man. Like, after a certain point, like I told a certain troll on my Twitter, I said, after a certain point, your shilling can really get ahead of your trolling.